everybody to find a seat, gather, stand in back, sit on the floor, whatever, so that we can have a brief welcoming and say hello. Today has been wonderful. I just said to some people here that each and every one of you, whether it be the teachers, whether it be the wonderful staff here, and yourselves, there's just been a great vibe here this morning, and I just hope it continues. And I just say, celebrate it for everybody here, and say thank you. Pleasure of introducing our mayor, who has been a consistent voice on how to improve our city, and for the point of today, environmentally. Over the last couple of years, he's consistently improved the parks for all of you and your families to enjoy. The quality of the parks are wonderful. The youth programs that exist in the city that are there for you and your families are equally as wonderful. I moved to Elizabeth over maybe 35 years ago, and the opportunities for a young family didn't exist the way it is here today. And he thoughtfully and slowly increased the quality of life so that you folks could have parks and your families would have someplace to go with all of you. And for that, I would like to thank him and introduce our mayor.
Thank you very much. Let's give Michelle a great round of applause for putting and working together with Environmental Day every year here in the city of Elizabeth at the Peters Township Community Center. I have to tell you, the work that she does with Future City, Estuary Day, Environmental Day, and all of this college volunteers and interns absolutely do a terrific job in making sure we try to educate our students. You're also going to hear from Stan Neron, who's a member of the Elizabeth Board of Education, and also going to be the new Recreation Director in the City of Elizabeth on Monday. And you're going to hear from the Council President, who's here, Council President Bill Goldman, who represents the 5th Ward on City Council. Thank you, Council. Oh, and the Army Corps, I can't forget them. Our good friends are going to be here too. So I want to thank all of the teachers who have shepherded the students here today. And guess what, students? Let's give your teachers a great round of applause. And listen, you get a day, the longer you ask questions and the more you participate, then the longer you stay out of school. That's the way it works. You get to learn something new here. So, you know, Future City, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, the U.S. Coast Guard, local universities, New York, New Jersey Baykeeper, the Office of Senator Menendez, the Office of Congressman Series, Infinium, Phillips 66, and Veolia Water. Let's give them all a round of applause for helping put this together. So is the John Dwyer Technology Academy in the house? Oh, that's it? There you go. How about the Edison Academy? They here? Halsey Leadership Academy? Thomas Jefferson Arts Academy? George Washington School No. 1? Oh, there's a small group. Jerome Dunn Academy School No. 9? Christopher Columbus School 15 I saw before. There you go. The Ronald Reagan Academy. The Albert Einstein Academy. Where's iPrep Academy 8? You guys are allowed every year. And how about the one Pablo Duarte, Jose Julian Marti? Do you got to say that name in the school every day you go there? That's a long name. How about Dr. Antonio Pantoja, school number 27? There you go. So, All day today, we're going to focus our energy on collective efforts towards protecting the environment and caring for our city. So I met the young people over here, and they were telling me about the microplastics that eventually make it into the water stream or the water. And this young lady, what's her name? Melanie, had all of the small plastics on like her fingertip. So I'm holding her hand and I'm looking at all this small stuff, and she says, you know, all of this small stuff can get into our food supply system and into the water system. So then she says to me, are you drinking less water from water bottles? And I said, my wife has a Swell bottle. Right? You know, we all know what those Swell bottles are? So the more you have of those things, then you just fill up the water from your refrigerator or something, and you're not using all of these plastic bottles. So on May 14th, we're going to host our annual Earth Day event. It's a little later than Earth Day, which is April 22nd. We're trying to take advantage of a little better weather and get more people out when we do Slam Dunk the Junk, and we go around the town cleaning up, and we have a lot of volunteers and students and everything else. Hundreds of volunteers are going to help us celebrate and clean things. And as you can tell, the City of Elizabeth is doing our part to keep the environment clean. So I want to share with you and your family and friends so that all of you can help keep our environment clean. So let's all commit to making our community better. You know, every year I tell this story, and you're all too young to remember, but some of these folks up here that are a little older than me, if you think that's true, anybody here who thinks it's older than me? This guy's older than me, no? Nobody, look at you gotta love kids. No, there's nobody here older than you, Mayor. So when I was your age, and I tell this story every year, but when I was your age, there used to be a TV commercial. And they used to drive down the road in the interstate, and then the people that live in this country used to just throw the garbage right out the window. And they'd just throw it on the street. And the car after car would go by and they'd throw garbage out. And then there would be a picture of a really tall Indian in headdress. And the only word, there was no words in the commercial. You would just see that really tall Indian cry. And you'd see teardrops coming down the Indian's cheek. And it sent a really powerful message to me as a kid, not to throw litter out the car window. We don't run commercials like that anymore because they make sense. Is that right? We don't do that stuff, because guess what? That commercial was very impactful on me as a young kid. I've never thrown anything out the window since then. Never. So I'm kind of hoping we can get back to that. You know why? Because young people have the ability to change what we screwed up. So therefore, when you learn here on Environmental Day, you can fix the things that your parents and grandparents have messed up in this climate. I don't mean your individual parents and grandparents. They're really good people. I'm talking about our generation. There's a lot of us who did wrong things to the environment. So hopefully what you learn, you'll help change that going forward. So enjoy your day here today, okay? Thank you. I get to call up the council president. Is that what I do, Michelle? Yes. She's sitting down. You're taking a break, Michelle? So, the mayor and city council work really closely together, and the 5th Ward councilman this year is serving as the council president. He's doing a great job in leading the city council. Councilman of the 5th Ward, Council President Bill Ballman.
Come on, once again, give the mayor a round of applause for doing a great job here in this city. I'm surprised, you know, one story he didn't tell today is when he and I used to campaign back in the day. And I won't tell you, I won't share, I'll let him share that with you later on, but not today, I won't do it. He tells it better than I do. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be with you today. You know, and I'm always excited when I'm here. And let me just back up just a little bit. Give Michelle McBeam a round of applause because she does a wonderful job. It's a great pleasure to be with you today because when you get young people together and they talk about environment and how we can best do a better job than we have been doing in the past. And may I mention something about that we may have messed up, but you guys can clean it up. And as I was walking around the room, I'm always concerned about clean water. And I stopped by the aquatics over here where they had the clean water test going on. And they explained to me and the new director, Stan Neron, about how they was taking dirty water and making pure water purification out of it, making water potable. And I thought that was impressive. Where's the young man that gave us, where is he at? He's there? Over by, yeah, will you stand up? Give your name. Give them a round of applause. They did a great job. Great job. Because he was talking about all these other foreign countries that naturally the water is very dirty, and they found a way to purify it. And that's a great testament. Now you might have to add a couple other quantity to it to make it a little bit better, but at least they're on the right track. And I want each and every one of you today, when you leave here, I want you to take time out to go to each student, to go around to the other station that you might have your station over here. You guys need to commingle and learn what the other group are doing, so you guys can get an understanding what they are, each one are doing. And when you leave here, I don't want you to just think about it. I want you to help do something about it when you go back, explain to your parents, grandparents, make sure they coincide with you and work with you to make this world a better place to live in. And I'm so glad that we're partner, all those here partner with the Elizabeth, with the city. We're glad to be partner trying to make this city and this country a better place to live and a clean environment. And one of the things I want to say impressed me also, I was talking to Jennifer Sedano. Where's Jen? That Jen. That Jen. Meanwhile, she and I was communicating together, and then she was telling me about, she said, well, Councilman, the kids and I are doing a Clean and Green program. I said, would you know that I had a Clean and Green program about 4 or 5 years ago? What about 5 years ago or something? And it worked out quite well. She said, really? I said, yes. I said, so they're going to talk, I guess you're going to talk about that later, right? Sure. You're going to talk about it later. I thought that was exciting. Here, we did it about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe a little longer, and it worked very well. And I had a group of guys that went through the city, and they just policed our streets from curb to curb. And they did a fantastic job. And out of that program, we was able to hire, which I thought was great, we was able to hire about 4 or 5 guys out of that group. And now that you mentioned that you're going to do it again, so I might be talking to him again to start this program up again. So you've excited me again. So without further ado, I'm going to bring up a good young man that has been working hard, already been working hard as a new director of Recreation. Give Stan Neron a round of applause as he comes.
Thank you, Councilman. Again, let's give Future Cities and Michelle McBean another big round of applause for all the great work that they're doing today and always throughout our community. And to our Mayor Chris Bogus, give our Mayor a big round of applause. Council President Bill Gorman, our Assistant Superintendent, Ms. Jen Sedano, who's here with us. You'll hear from her shortly. And give it up for all your administrators and staff, your teachers that are here with you today. Because this wouldn't be possible. The work that you're doing today could not actually happen. And I need you to give it up for yourselves, because Elizabeth Public Schools is the best in the state of New Jersey, right? You gotta do better than that. Can we get it up again? All right. So I have the privilege of wearing too many hats today, because today I'm Commissioner of the Board of Ed, I'm the Assistant Director of Health and Human Services, and Monday I become the Director of Recreation. So I'm saying all that to say that I've had the honor of being able to merge all those worlds together and building a bridge in our community where we can really address sustainability and a campaign to really go green and go clean in our community, as myself and the Assistant Superintendent have talked about, really pushing throughout our district. Because we've introduced campaigns on sustainability, we've introduced a campaign on anti-litter, and it's not something that only one class or the group that's here should do. It's something that everybody from pre-K to the 12th grade, to your households, to the churches, to the communities, to the community centers, everywhere needs to buy into this concept. because one of the things that we often never talk about is mental health and wellness, right? And that's all tied to how you feel about yourself and how you feel about your community. And if you can get your community to be clean, sustainable, you can go green, you can start to feel good about your community and about yourself. Because when you go into an environment that's not clean, there's no fresh air, there's no clean water, guess what? It affects your mental wellness. It affects your psyche and how you feel about yourself and how motivated you are. When you go into a really dirty environment, are you motivated? No. You feel lazy, you feel depressed, right? But if you go into a clean environment, how do you feel about yourself? Good. You feel excited, right? It's kind of like walking in the mall and it's all bright lights and everything is shining and glimmering and it's bling bling and you're like, okay, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling good about myself. So I really want you to take hold and not only take ownership of your homes, but take ownership of your very neighborhoods. Because your very neighborhoods is where it begins. And this is a message that has to be translated to your parents, to your family, and to your friends. And Mayor Boyd articulated a great point about that commercial, about watching people just litter throughout our community and nobody doing nothing about it. Well, we have to take ownership. This is our community. We cannot wait for someone else, somewhere else, to come here into Elizabeth and say, hey, it's time to clean up Elizabeth. We live in Elizabeth and we have to clean our own communities, starting with our schools. We have to recycle and we have to really understand the concept. And the last one that I'll leave you with is we were talking about clean water and myself and Councilman Goldman got an opportunity to witness the process of purifying water. And currently I work in the island of Haiti purifying water with a group of a village of 10,000 people. And we have the privilege of having clean water out of our faucets here in America. But many other countries don't have that luxury and they don't have that privilege. But if we continue to pollute our waters, pollute our communities, we will be in the same predicament. And we have to understand that that will become the new gold, water, because that will become a commodity because it will be very difficult to find clean water. We have to take ownership of that and make sure that everything that you're learning here, you actually change it to become a way of life for yourself. So I encourage you, we're so proud of the work that you're doing. Continue doing it, continue spreading good word on going green and going clean and going green here in the city of Elizabeth. Make sure you hashtag that. And it's been an honor to be here with you today. I'm looking forward to the great work that we're able to do through the Department of Recreation to create more programs for our community, for our youth, and making sure that we can bring the school system, the city, the county, the state, everybody together to do great things in our community. And we're so proud of you. So one more time, give it up for yourselves. Let's be motivated. Janice, go, what are we hashtagging?
Elizabeth Clean and Green.
So on the count of 3, we're going to say Elizabeth Clean and Green. 1, 2, 3.
Elizabeth Clean and Green.
We got to do better than that. 1, 2, 3. Elizabeth Clean and Green. Let's hashtag that and let's get it going. So without further ado, I think I'm going to bring on Aaron or Jim. Okay. Please put your hands together for the Assistant Superintendent of School. Very good friend of mine, Ms. Jennifer.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. How are we doing? Excellent. On behalf of Elizabeth Public Schools, I would like to thank Future City and all of our teachers and all of our students for coming to Environmental Day 2019. Specifically, I'd like to thank out our students from the Halsey Academy. Where are you? That came onto this program at a very short window, and they are presenting and they are here today. So I want to ask a question to everyone in the audience. Has anyone here ever heard of the butterfly effect? Ah, very good. I didn't think I was going to get a couple of hands in the air. But in 1963, there was a scientist by the name of Edward Lorenz, and he walked into the New York Academy of Sciences and was literally laughed out of the room. He proposed an idea that if something small, a small particle, or a small movement, like the movement of butterfly wings, over time would affect molecules, that all the way across the world would then cause changes in weather patterns, changes such as hurricanes. And this is part of his theory, which was part like chaos theory. And he was laughed out of the room. And this, for about 30 years, became the part of conversations in science fiction. It became part of comic books. Even some pretty bad movies came out. But in 1990, physicists came together and declared that this actually is true. There is a law that is called the sensitive dependence on initial conditions that came out of this scientist's vision. And today, here on Environmental Day 2019, what if I told you that we are going to launch a butterfly effect on Elizabeth, New Jersey? We will begin a campaign called Elizabeth Clean and Green that will start with you students changing by using your voice to affect change in this city. We are doing a public service announcement, and many of the students here, 2 from each school, have been preparing ahead of time on pieces of advice that they can give our community so Elizabeth can be clean and green. How can you impact litter in your classrooms, in your schools, in this city? How does litter affect climate change? These are the questions that you've been grappling with and we've been taping in the back room. And we hope through this public service announcement and through the actions and the learning that is happening right here in this room that you will be like those little butterfly wings and affect change, not just for today, but for your children, for your children's children, and for Elizabeth in 2500. What you're doing today. So our hope is that your learning here will change our future and change our city for generations to come. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you again to Future City, for Stan Leron, for launching and being the brainchild of this campaign. And we look to make sure Elizabeth is what? Clean and green. Thank you, my dears. God bless you. At this time, I would love to introduce one of our partners, John Sebo, if he can come up and address the students. John?
Hey, good morning, everyone. And I am so honored to be here with you all. I remember some 45 years ago, the mayor and I are from the same generation. I hope he's older than I am, but I'm not sure. But I remember sitting in a very similar type of forum at my high school, learning about basic environmental issues and some of the challenges that we face. And I remember I was moved by it, literally moved by it, and watching that commercial that the mayor identified, and I do recommend, if you can, go on YouTube and search Crying Indian pollution and watch that 90-second commercial. It's very impactful, very impactful. And so I was inspired at the forum that I went to about going into a STEM career. And I did. I went forward and went to school for engineering, got a master's degree, went to work for the Army Corps of Engineers, and I'm working in water resource engineering and a wide variety of other things, and I've enjoyed it my whole life. And I'm hopeful that I can inspire some of you today as you go through and learn about all the different environmental issues that we have in our country and our world, and you hear about the great people who are stepping up and trying to face some of those challenges, that you too will be interested in pursuing an environmental career. And I will be here for the next 90 minutes or so, and if anyone wants to talk to me or talk to Lisa Barron, who's been through Lisa's presentation so far? Awesome, right? Oh. Absolutely awesome. Come on, guys. Come on. Give it up for Lisa. But please feel free to talk to me. Let me go ahead now and thank the team that's put this together. Michelle McBean and Future Cities. We've been working with them for well over a decade now from the Army Corps of Engineers. We truly believe this is a very important investment for us to come here and talk to you and explain not only what we do, but what are some of the challenges and opportunities to improve the quality of our environment and this region. Yesterday, I asked one of our folks in our public affairs office to actually run through and give me some good environmental facts that I can lay out as to some of the issues we're facing as a country and a world. And the person came back to me and said, I don't know where to begin. I could give you hundreds and hundreds of factoids. And I said, now just give me a few. And he did. And I want to read just 3 of them to you. Things to think about. So we've all talked about climate change and sea level rise. So average sea level rise is expected to go up 1 to 6 feet before the end of this century. So think about that. Every river you look at, the ocean, every time you see water, think about what that would be like if it was 1 to 6 feet higher. Think about 6 feet higher. Think of all the homes that are going to be underwater. Think of all the impacts to our roadways. Think of all the impacts to our environment. It's a very scary thought for a lot of folks. A second factoid. The current pace of the global average temperature rise puts half of all plants and animals at risk of extinction. That's not going to happen tomorrow. Don't worry about that. But the reality is, when you think about the next 100 and 200 years, okay, and a big piece of your lifetime, if we don't slow the rise in temperature of our world, we are going to start to lose certain species that we have all come to know and love. And so we have to be on that. And last factoid, the world's coral reefs are in the midst of a global massive die-off. In the last 30 years, the world has lost half of its coral reefs. Think about that. In the last 30 years, we've lost more than half of our coral reefs. These are very scary things. And I don't want you to have fear. I want you to turn this into an opportunity. Take this and feel inspired. Get passionate. Build yourself a coalition. And let's get out and let's turn this around. I could not feel better about hearing the mayor and your Board of Ed folks and your council members talk about all the initiatives that are going on here in Elizabeth. These are great initiatives. Let me finish with just 2 things. I had the opportunity here this morning to walk around to some of the different kiosk areas and to hear the folks. I got to meet Wilman over here. Raise your hand. Hey, Wilman is doing an absolutely awesome project looking at dissolved oxygen and pH levels in the Elizabeth River right here behind us. And he's got lots of data he's collected, and he's created a hypothesis, and he's going to reach some conclusions about the impact of sewage discharges and other issues that are affecting the waters. If you haven't had a chance today, please go visit Wilman and let him tell you about his project. It's pretty inspiring. And secondly, I'd like to call out Miss Jane's class in the back over here from John A. Dwyer Academy. They had a great team of folks who were working on landfills and looking at how we turn our landfills from blights on the landscape to opportunities to properly address and manage our wastes and at the same time not create long-term environmental impacts. So I would ask you today, if you haven't had a chance yet, hey, where are you? Raise your hand. That team is awesome. They're in the back over here. Please go spend a little time with them and spend a little time with all the different groups today, because although I didn't get around to everyone, I'm going to try to do that. And there's a lot to learn here and some great, great projects. So again, thank you all. The Army Corps of Engineers really enjoys the opportunity to come out here and talk to you about the issues we have in our region. I hope you'll feel a little bit inspired. I hope many of you will think about opportunities in the future to have a STEM career. And we look forward to talking with you and seeing you again next year. Michelle.
Joe, I would like to thank you, and I'd also like to lift up Lisa, who is has been a gifted educator twice a year, and she has she's wonderful technically with the Army Corps, but she has this extra special gift that she gives us, as well as being on the Mayor's Show Up. So I'd like to thank you too, Lisa. Appreciate it if everyone under 20 years old gave a good, heavy clap of hands and shout out to all the adults in this room who have made you come here today and made this day possible, because everyone has done a lot of work. This is a very collaborative effort, it's a very respectful effort, and we're going to look forward to seeing you become leaders in the future. Have a very nice rest of the day and lunch.